I did not expect to have this much fun building this deck. We're talking about the classic Scion of the Ur-Dragon, a 5-color commander that does stand-up comedy by doing impressions of other dragons. I'm so stoked to share this deck with you guys. Okay, first of all, you need tons of ramp. So you can play something like Dragon Speaker Shaman, and you get all the green land ramp spells, which is great. You need lots because you're playing tons and tons of big dragon cards. A fairly new add to the deck would be Ravaz of the Claw. It's going to allow you to play those dragons that you've put in the graveyard for yourself. Now, the meanest thing you can do is turn Scion over the Ur-Dragon into Skithiryx, the Blight Dragon. Making it have Infect is always fun, but in Commander, taking one person out at a time isn't as fun as taking everybody out at once with a big Super Strike. So just be careful. Now, secretly, this is a Reanimator deck, so cards that reanimate for super cheap are really good. I'm thinking turn Scion of the Ur-Dragon into Teneb the Harvester, so when it makes contact, you can pay 3 and bring a creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield. Obviously, that means we want to play Reanimate. We're just dumping cards into our graveyard with the Entomb ability. So what other big baddies are we getting? Well, all the Ancient Dragons. We've got Ancient Brass Dragon. This thing's going to reanimate based on a D20 roll. Awesome. We've got Ancient Copper Dragon. This thing's making treasures for us on a D20 roll. Awesome. We've got Ancient Silver Dragon. This thing's drawing us cards based on a D20 roll. Awesome. If you have an opponent who is making tons of artifacts, play Hellkite Tyrant. Make contact, take all their artifacts. Why not? That's pretty neato. Now, the first time I saw Karthus, Tyrant of Jund, was actually in the Mystery Boosters as one of the multicolor cards, and I thought, that's a silly card. I was not playing Magic around the time when this card would have been in Standard, and frankly, it's still not that impressive to me, except in this deck. Gaining control of all other dragons and giving all other dragons haste, great idea. So what are we doing with that? Well, we're sticking in the graveyard with Scion of Ur-Dragon's ability, and then we're casting Living Death. We get all our dragons back, and we get to Alpha Strike. So, like I said, this is a Reanimator deck with haste, with big dragons. You're going to have a great time, and you're going to get all the value. Just watch out for those silly opposition agents. Hope that helps. Hey bestie, I'm going to show you how to build an Angel Aristocrat deck. Alright, so Black-White Aristocrats isn't like an earth-shattering new idea, but this one I think is pretty cool. Liesa, Forgotten Archangel, is a flying lifelink 4/5. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Okay, so we've got Graveyard Hate in the command zone for our opponents. That's pretty cool. We also want to be trying to kill our creatures, non-token creatures, every single turn so we get them back. Alright, that's what we're working with. Here we go. So I don't recommend Vedalken Orrery very often, but because we want to use non-token creatures every turn, Vedalken Orrery is where it's at. What was once a huge commander staple has become less so, but still really powerful, and I think it's worth tapping out for this in this deck. We're going to be sacrificing things, so we might as well have some payoffs. Elis Il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim, is one of those payoffs, and the art is awesome. We get to play a new card in Court of Ardenvale. Brings the Monarch into the game, which is a thing I really like. And we get to bring things back to our hand or straight back to the battlefield. So, great idea in my opinion. I think it's worth shelling out for Beseech the Mirror. You're going to bargain away something from your board, and you're going to go get your Vedalken Orrery and cast it for free. Alright, now, this is going to be a Shadowborn Apostle deck. So you're going to need this card called Shadowborn Apostle. You're also going to need this other card called Shadowborn Apostle. And you're going to need this other card called Shadowborn Apostle. Oh, and you're going to need this card called Shadowborn Apostle. Altogether, you're going to want 28 to 30 of them. Killing these 1-drops is really good, and when you have 6 of them on the battlefield, you get some really cool payoffs. Demon payoffs. So how about including a Harvester of Souls? Your demon of choice is really up to you. You can play 2 or 3 of them. You're also going to want to get those Shadowborn Apostles back. So Athreos, God of Passage, is a huge card. It's going to make your opponents decide whether or not you should have those creatures back. And once you get someone down to 3 life, or, well, less than 3 life, they can't choose to pay 3 life, so you will always get your creatures back. All right, so now how are we going to cheat on mana? Well, there's a really cool card for that. Edgewalker. Cleric spells you play cost white-black less to play. Once this is out, it's free to play your Shadowborn Apostles. So, you get a sack outlet, you start playing them for free, you start killing them. If Athreos is out, you might get him back right away. If not, you get him back at end of turn. And the next turn, you get to do it all over again because you have Vidalcan Orrery out. You get to use the ability to go bring in some demons. And Liesa's there to do the lifelinking beat thing for you. Now, I'm going to say, just go get regular Shadowborn Apostles. 28 of those is enough money. The Secret Lair ones are awesome and amazing, but they cost comical amounts of money, so avoid those unless you really want to dive into this strategy. Hope that helps. You need a new commander to inflict brutal pain on your opponents. Here it is. Tasha, the Witch Queen, who doesn't like a planeswalker in the command zone. That static ability of casting your opponent's spells to get some 3/3 demons sounds great. Tasha gives you the ability to cast instants and sorceries from their graveyards, so that's a real plus, literally. Let's see what else we can do with her. Nothing says brutal deck than the Lord of Luxury himself, Gonti. Cast him, he enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards in an opponent's library, you choose one. You can play it till the end of the game. Guess what that's going to do? It's going to make you a demon. This is the ideal Night Veil Spectre deck as well. Hit an opponent, exile a card, you get to play that card. You also get to play Thief of Sanity. Hit an opponent, look at some cards, take one, cast it later. Awesome. Ashiok Nightmare Weaver gets to be a part of this game as well. You get to anchor down on one opponent and keep exiling cards from the top of their library, and hopefully you get to that -10, which is just brutal. Siphon Insight's a really cool cantrip in that you're going to get something off your opponent's deck, which is sweet, and you get to do it twice with flashback. We're definitely going to suspend Inevitable Betrayal and leave haunting images all over our opponent's faces while we wait for the countdown to end. How about we just hardcast Bribery and take something from our opponents? That seems like a good idea, right? Or why not cast Commandeer for free? Gain control of that big spell. Maybe it's a Bolas' Citadel. Who knows? But you're going to control it. You also get to play the Elder Brain. This goofy looking guy takes cards from your opponent's hands and gives them to you. I've never attacked with this yet, but I am thinking more and more that I should. You're just going to default to exiling the hand of the person who has the most cards, right? So let's go after him with this ugly beast. Horror. One of my underrated commander cards is Thieving Skydiver. When you kick this for 1, you can take a Mana Crypt or a Soul Ring, and it becomes yours forever. Well, at least till the game ends, right? You can also take equipment, and it equips automatically. So if someone has like a Colossus Hammer out, you can pay 2 mana and kick it once, and get an equipped Colossus Hammer on your Merfolk Rogue. You're going to need to protect yourself. People don't like when you steal their stuff. So Cunning Rhetoric's going to give you a chance to take more stuff if they choose to attack you. Classic Kamigawa Dragon Spirit Kaiga the Tidestar is also going to be a part of your deck. It's going to fly around, swatting things down. Inevitably someone's going to try and remove it, and you're going to get a payoff for that. How about we get the little Island Walker Thada Adel Acquisitor into your deck and go take artifacts from people's libraries? That seems good, right? All in all, you're going to have so many things that don't belong to you that you're going to want to keep all your friends in the game for as long as possible. How does that sound? Hope this helps. You know, if I could build this deck from scratch, this is where I'd start. Let's dive into Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa. On first look, there's a lot of things going on this card. This is an absolute bomb in Limited. But as a commander, I had to think about it a little bit more. I really like the flash and the protection bit, but those really aren't enough to build around. And then you see the 5-color activated ability, and that's really nice. So we have a 5-color deck, and it pumps up Kyodai quite a bit. So I wanted to lean into that a little bit, and I wanted to do it in a way that anyone could go and build this deck right away. So here we go. We get to play a new card in Blossoming Tortoise, and that's because we want to get lands onto the battlefield as much as possible. Creating 5 colors of mana is sometimes tough, but I think with the leaning into the lands thing we're going to do here, Kyodai is going to be really powerful. When you take a look at Securitas Root, I think you know what we're going to start doing with this deck. You get to go get 2 basic lands, sure, or you get to go get 2 gates. And that's where this deck is starting to take off. This is a Maze's End deck, at least to finish. So we have cards that go and get gates. We've got to open the gates. This thing costs a penny. We've got a really cool payoff in Guild Summit. You get to play it to draw cards, and whenever you play gates, you get to draw cards. So that's really nice. And thanks to Baldur's Gate, we have cards like Navigation Orb, which allow us to go get gates again. And we want to play gates from anywhere possible, so this is a perfect deck for Oracle of Moldiah. Now here are the powerhouses in the deck. Nine Fingers Keen. This thing is going to put out so many gates. It's hard to deal with, and really almost is a secret commander in the deck. Now, most of you know that I do not really care for tapped lands, so we're playing Arkelos, Lagoon Mystic. Who doesn't want a Turtle Shaman running around untapping everything? Arkelos is going to be untapped on your turn. You're going to get untapped gates, which means you're going to get your mana right away. These are now essentially revised duels with better borders. And we can start pumping mana into Kyodai to start taking out our opponents with big swings. Since we're on a bit of a budget here too, we get to play Thrasios at home, and of course I mean Gretchen Titchwillow. You get to pump your mana into her to draw a card and put lands onto the battlefield. Essentially the same as Thrasios, right? So there you have it. We have a big flyer to protect our board. We can pump them up to take out our opponents one by one. And since we're playing tons of lands and we're dropping gates onto the battlefield, a Maze's End win is inevitable. Hope that helps.